Hello my friends and welcome to the Fairy Stamper YouTube channel. Katie here, and today I've got a super simple card using one of the backgrounds that I created in the month of April. So this is the background. I trimmed the panel down to 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to be using the Fairy Gate stamp set, the Stone Walkway, and the Flower Vine. I've also got a new Studio Light Layered Hills and Grasses stencil that I'm going to be using also. So for the ink, I'm going to be using some Versafine Nocturn to do all my stamping with today. So here I'm just placing the Fairy Gate into my Misty, and there's some air pockets, and I notice sometimes that with photopolymers, if you have those air pockets, the stamp doesn't stamp very well, so I made sure to push those down. I still had some spots in the archway, center of the archway of the Fairy Gate that didn't stamp, so I had to ink that up 3 or 4 times. So once I get that stamped up, I will move on to the Stone Walkway. And this card came together really quick. Having those, the background, I really was doing a little bit more experimenting than anything because I wanted to try out the that stencil, the Studio Light stencil that I'll show you here in a little bit. And so once I get the Stone Walkway stamped up, I'm going to take that Flower Vine and just stamp that all across the top of the panel. Now the one thing that I didn't put on camera is I actually I bring that Flower Vine down more. This is towards the end of the video where I thought I had recorded it, but I didn't. And so basically it's the same concept. You're just bringing that Flower Vine down further into the pink area towards the stone path, the Stone Walkway. So once I get that all stamped up, I'm going to move on to using the stencil. And I just use the grass portion, and I take a ink dauber with the Versafine Clair, just a little finger dauber. And believe it or not, Versafine Clair Nocturn stamps nice and dark, but you got to really ink the stuff up when you use a sponge. So I have to go over this a few times, and I even have to take the stencil off to really fill in the very bottom part of the panel. But I like the stencil. The stencil worked out really nicely, and it's a little flimsy for how big it is. I wish it was a thicker mylar, just because there's so much, with 1, 2, 3, 4 different hills, and then you got 2 grasses on there. So, but I like the stencil. I like having those options, and I also picked up the cloud stencil too that I'll have to play with. So here I'm just taking that flower vine. This is where I thought I had shown the vines coming down a little bit farther into that pink area, but I'm just bringing up from the bottom so it looks like there's flowers coming out of the grass. And this is to kind of replicate a night sky and a silhouette night sky. And I was going to do a sympathy card, but I realized I don't have any sympathy dies, so I have to get one of those. And so I'm going to save the sentiment and just leave it plain for now, and then add that once I get one of the sympathy dies that I want. But that's going to wrap up the card for me today, my friends. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a thumbs up, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And check out the description box below, and follow us over on Facebook, and share your projects. We'd love to see what you're creating. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next video.